The Apple Watch 6 is something of a surprise upgrade, in the sense that, on the outside, it's not that much of a change from the Apple Watch 5, or even the Apple Watch 4. The key upgrades, though, are within the watch itself, with the new S6 chipset inside allowing for a more powerful chipset, theoretically, better battery life and a blood oxygen monitor to allow you to see how much of that vital O2 is pumping around your system. There's an altimeter to track your elevation, to the nearest foot, according to Apple, and the screen is now capable of firing up to 2.5 times brighter when you're out in strong sunlight, so you'll never miss a notification on a hike. It's also the poster child for watchOS 7, which brings in hand-washing tracking, although we couldn't get this to fire up once, sleep tracking and more watch faces, including the slightly frightening capability to see your own Memoji face on your wrist, winking at you, should you so wish. We've spent a couple of hours with the new Apple Watch 6 for this early hands-on review, to see whether the new upgrades offer any real and immediate benefits over the existing models. Apple Watch 6 release date and price. The Apple Watch 6 release date has been set for Friday, September 18th, although pre-orders are currently live if you know this is something you want. In terms of a Watch 6 price, you're looking at $399, £379, $599 for the 40mm version, while the 44mm version starts at $429, £409, $649. Those prices are for the GPS-only version, without cellular connectivity. If you want an LTE-ready watch, the 40mm starts at $499, £479, $749, and the 44mm at $529, £509, $799. Blood oxygen monitoring and spotting how high you go. The key upgrade for the new Apple Watch is the blood oxygen sensor, which can monitor how much oxygen is pumping around in your blood cells and can give an indication of any underlying medical issues, if, for example, your lungs aren't working as well as they should be, or alert you to environmental factors, such as telling you, when you're hiking up a mountain, the thinner air is having an effect on your system. It's simple enough to use. You fire up the blood oxygen app, keep your wrist still for 15 seconds and wait as the app counts down, and then you'll get a readout of the percentage of oxygen in your blood. The app also gives you some indication of what a good reading looks like, between 95 to 100% is A-OK, but Apple stresses that this isn't to be used in a medical setting, which diminishes the trust in it somewhat. Apple's language on this is quite clear that it's not, in any way, meant to help you track a respiratory disease, which would include COVID-19, or to even consult with a doctor. Blood oxygen app measurements are not intended for medical use, including self-diagnosis or consultation with a doctor, and are only designed for general fitness and wellness purposes. If you have questions about your health, contact a medical professional, says Apple on its site. However, the blood oxygen readings work just fine, but for most it's going to be entirely unused unless you're heading to high altitude, or have a reason to worry about your respiratory rate, in which case you'll probably have a medical-grade oxygen sensor around. In order to stress test it a little more, we went out for a quick 1-kilometer run up and down a local hill, which also, handily, tested the elevation capabilities of the Watch 6. We noted a 98% saturation level at the start, and 96% at the end, all nicely within range. In short, it feels like that's the last time we'll use that feature, unless we happen to go trekking up a mountain. Perhaps using it overnight will give us some more interesting data, but given that Apple's not going to give you information on medical conditions like sleep apnea, which causes sufferers to stop breathing at night, which can cause oxygen levels to drop, it's hard to see the real benefit here. The altimeter worked pretty well in our early tests though, noting that there was a 15 meters change in elevation as we ran and down the hill. We actually had an Apple Watch 6 and an Apple Watch SE strapped to our arms, and both concurred on the elevation, which gave us more confidence in the accuracy. Apple Watch 6 design. And the design of the Apple Watch is the same as it's been since the Apple Watch 4, with the choices of 40mm or 44mm for different wrist sizes, and a larger screen than the one which debuted on the first Apple Watch and was last seen on the Watch 3. The curved edges, the digital crown and the power button are all present and correct, and all have the same well-built feeling when you're spinning or pushing them. The Taptic engine inside, the little motor that creates the tapping feeling on your wrist when a notification comes in, is still one of the best ways to get your attention, and we suppose we're finally getting used to hitting the fiddly clasp underneath the watch to change the straps over. One thing we do want to praise, the addition of the product red color, which is a striking and vibrant addition to the range, with the red metallic casing feeling a bit more exciting on the wrist. There are a number of new colors on offer with the Apple Watch 6, a new blue aluminum case, as well as a gold version of the stainless steel variant, and there's also a black graphite variant, but red is definitely our favorite. The display is another change that Apple's brought to the party with the new Watch 6. While it's the same OLED technology we've seen for years, Apple is continuing with the always-on display of the Watch 5, so you can just glance down at your wrist and see the time. Compare this to the new Apple Watch SE, where you still either need to tap or do a slightly convoluted raising of the wrist to see the time, and it's a much neater solution. However, it did have an impact on the battery life in the Watch 5, so we're hoping that Apple has improved things in this regard.
We're not sure whether this would
One
mean
thing we
losing the
found
digital
curious
crown
concerned
altogether,
Apple's
or
vaunted
whether
brightness
this would
boost.
simply be an
In
alternative
bright
to the
conditions,
rotation of the
the
crown
Apple
we
Watch
have
6
now.
display is
It's
supposed to get a
important that
boost
many
to 2.5
patented ideas
times
never
brighter
make
than
their way
normal,
into the
and we
final
could
product,
definitely
but
see it
it's the
just
most
fine in
concrete
bright
information
sunshine.
we have so far.
However,
The
we were
easiest
also
upgrades
testing
to
the
predict
Apple
on
Watch
the Apple
SE at
Watch
the same
Series
time,
6 are
which we
improved
believe
internals.
doesn't have the same
It's almost
technology
certain
to
that
boost
Apple
up
will
the
have a new
brightness,
S6
yet the two
processor
displays
ready,
looked
which could see
identical in the
enhancements
brighter
to the already
sunshine.
excellent performance.
We're checking in to see
This could
whether
be
the
aided
Watch
by a
SE is
potential
actually
move to liquid
imbued with the
crystal
same
polymer circuit
technology,
boards for
but
the first
otherwise we
time.
haven't been able to see
Elsewhere,
much
we
of a
could also
difference in
see some
brightness in
pretty
our,
big improvements to the
admittedly,
water
very
resistance.
brief and thoroughly
The latest Apple
inconclusive
Watch has an
tests.
official ISO rating,
Earlier,
which
the Apple
means it
Watch
is
6
already
feels
able
like
to
a small
withstand
upgrade
water
over the
depths of
Apple
up to
Watch
50
5,
Apple Watts.
which felt like a
Simply
small
put,
upgrade over the
yes.
Apple Watch 4.
Apple confirmed
While
the
last
sleep
year's
tracking
model brought the
functionality will be
always-on
available
display,
in Watch
the Watch
07
6's
at
altimeter and blood
WWDC
oxygen
2020,
sensor don't
with
seem
the
to offer
updates
very
scheduled
much
for
that's
release
new over
this
the
autumn.
previous
So it'll
model.
be available to
The
both
key miss
new
for
and
us is the
users.
blood
Many
oxygen
people take
sensor
their
not
Apple
giving
Watch
you
off to
regular,
charge
on-the-go
overnight, so
alerts
this could
for
suggest
someone
the
who's
next
slightly
Apple
worried
Watch
about
will
their
be tailored to
respiration,
sleep tracking,
which may be more
possibly
people than
resulting
usual
in
during
some
this
significant
COVID-19
improvements to
pandemic.
battery
The
life.
Watch 6 can
This
offer
could be
some
achieved
relevant
by Apple
information,
moving to a
but
micro-LED
otherwise it
display,
seems like a
as
curio
reported
to
by
have as a
Chinese site
capability,
Economic
rather
Daily
than a
News.
genuine health
The current
benefit.
OLED panels have
The
led
Apple
to more
Watch 6 is
significant
still the
battery
premium
drain than had
model
been
wearable you can
anticipated.
buy from the
Some
Cupertino
think that
brand,
micro-LED
and
is
if the
still some
battery
time
hasn't been
away from being
impacted,
introduced
going
to
for
the
this
Apple
model
Watch,
will give you
which
the
would explain
useful
the
always-on
appearance of a
display,
slightly
which is
larger
important
battery.
as Apple
A
no longer
regulatory
sells the
board that
Watch
approves
Series
new
5,
hardware ahead
its
of
only
public
other watch
release.
with that feature.
It's admittedly
However,
not a lot
beyond the
bigger at
attractive new color
303.8
options,
mAh
our
compared
early
to
preview hasn't
296
found
mAh of
anything
the current
massively
Apple
different
Watch,
to get
but could
excited
offer
about
a
over
small
last year's
improvement to
Watch
battery
5.
life. Of course,